I am about to step on some toes. So if you are not ready for that, this might not be the episode for you. The reason why is because I want to address something that a lot of teachers say, which is I'm doing the best I can. And I never want to minimize the work that teachers do. Like I never want to take away from the fact that we're trying really hard. This work is super hard. But I don't think that 100% of the time when people say I'm doing the best I can, we actually are. 100% of the time we're doing the best I can. Are we always doing the best that we can when we have that student, when we have that class that is misbehaving, that's off the wall, and we just sit back and say, you know what, I'm not doing this today? Are we doing the best we can when we have that student that comes in? Think about the student that I'm talking about. That student that comes in, day out, doesn't follow the directions, doesn't do the things that we want them to do. And then we say, you know, they're never going to get it. They're never going to learn. I'm not going to do that. Shout out to Mason that received his first job. Come on now, love to see it. We have new teachers in the building. Good job, Mason. So proud of you, man. Fifth grade. That's exactly what you wanted. I remember us talking about that. That's exactly what you wanted. That's fire. So make sure that when you come in, you're doing the absolute best you can. Why? Because students deserve teachers that are doing not just the best that they are comfortable with, but the best that they're capable of. I don't want you to miss that. Listen to what I just said. There's a difference between doing the best that you are comfortable with and doing the best that you're capable of. I truly believe that there are some of us that are not reaching our full potential, but we're doing the best that we feel like doing. Right? So think about what that does to students if we're just showing up as just okay, but not really doing the absolute best that we can. I'm not saying this as I know I came in kind of aggressive. I told you if you if you don't want me to step on your toes, tonight might not be the night, right? Because I really want to call out some things that I've been hearing recently, and I'm always coming from a place of love, and always coming from a place of shared experience. I've been there. I've had tough students. I'm gonna share an experience with a super tough student that I had, and I want you to think about your tough student as we're going through this because I want you to think about what it could look like if you don't actually do like the best that you can. And my student, I'm going to use a different name. Let's go with Mason, since I know Mason's on the call, right? That's not my student's name, but let's go with Mason. And I had the student Mason that was that student that, ooh, like when Mason came into class, everybody got excited for all the wrong reasons, right? Like Mason will come into class and everybody be like, "Oh, Mason's here, let's go!" And I'm like, "Oh man," because this is my fourth year teaching. I'm trying to teach. I just transitioned to Charlotte, North Carolina. Like I'm trying to get this teaching thing down, and Mason comes in and ruins everything. He would always just be up, moving about the classroom, cursing, right? Man, it's crazy because I always say that for the longest, I didn't even know what his handwriting looked like because he wouldn't even do any work. Like I'll put work on the board and say, "Everybody write this down." And he was like, "No, I'm not doing that." He'll be on his phone. Um, man, can I be honest? Can I be honest? So there were times, right, where Mason would come to class and he would go to sleep. Don't judge me, please. Don't judge me, y'all. He would come in and he would go to sleep, and I would see him sleeping, and I'll be like, hey, nobody say anything. Like everybody be quiet, let him sleep, right? Because when he was awake, he was such a menace. Oh my gosh. The crazy thing is he didn't even start the year in my classroom. He was in another teacher's class. You guys know how this goes, man. He was in another teacher's class and he was causing so much ruckus in her class that they moved him to my class, not because I was a better teacher. Listen to what they said. Listen to what they said. They said, "We're going to move him to your class because you are slower to anger." What? They said, "He's still going to be Mason. He's still going to be him. He's still going to turn up. He's still going to cause ruckus. He's still going to draw attention and not follow directions and not do any work. But because you're slower to anger, we're going to put him in your class because you're not as combustible with him." That's literally what they told me. Mason, absolutely, man. Shoot me a direct message. Let's talk about it. So as I'm teaching him this year, that school year, my fourth year, watch this. Imagine. I hope that you're imagining your Mason. I hope that you're imagining your student because we've all had students like that. He was also a fighter, right? My goodness. Many of you all know about the first fight that I've ever broken up. I talk about it all the time. The fight in the middle of the hallway, where the first fight I ever broke up, I ended up in the middle of the hallway between two eighth grade boys. The last fight I ever broke up was with Mason because, man, and that was 2016, 2017. And I promise y'all, I never broke up a fight after that. I promise. Don't break up fights. It's not good for you. But again, he just attacked somebody who I felt like didn't need to be attacked. So I went and I kind of bear hugged him to get him to stop fighting. And he ended up taking me to the ground and we're both rolling around. Afterwards, it's crazy. The assistant principal actually called me back into the office and he was like, don't ever do that again. Like, don't ever try to, like, don't get in his way, man. Just call for security, call for the police officer. So that's the last time I ever broke up a fight, right? But Mason was just that kid. He was fighting about it. Here's what's crazy. Yo, I didn't know this. Did you know that you could get kicked out of alternative school? You can. I found out because of Mason. Like, he had gotten into so many fights at our school that we sent him to alternative school. No exaggeration, y'all. No joke. We sent him there maybe on a Wednesday. Why Tuesday of the next week was he sitting in my classroom? I was like, hold on. Oh, yo, hold on, somebody. I saw him come down the hallway. Like, hold on, he's not supposed to be here. He was supposed to be in alternative school for the remainder of the semester. And they said that when he got to alternative school, he tried to fight one of the teachers, and they felt unsafe, so they sent him back to his home school. What? Like, I didn't know. I didn't know that was a thing. So Mason, man, there's one thing that I'll never forget about him. There's one thing that I'll never forget though. One time we were doing a math activity and it was a group activity and I was doing this thing where I told them that everybody had to show their work. Mason was in a group and they were all like, oh man, because they knew, right? Like they knew that he wasn't gonna do any work. But his friend was in that group. His friend was like, come on, man, you got this. This was about March. I never seen him do any work. This was about March of that school year. Mason took out a piece of loose leaf paper or got one from somebody else and borrowed a pencil. And he wrote, again, his name wasn't really Mason, but he wrote MASO. And then he started the N, but he ended up getting distracted. Like he didn't finish his whole N at the end of his name. And I remember that day went by. He never did any more work, but after that class left, I was cleaning up the classroom and I saw the loose leaf paper on the floor. And I picked it up and I saw MASO and a little half N. And I was like, wow, it's March. I was like, wow, that's what his handwriting looks like. Because I had never seen it. Like, that's what his handwriting looks like. So fast forward a little bit, man. We finished out that school year. I ended up transitioning to a new school in Charlotte, but a new school after that. And then a couple of years later, I got a message from one of my coworkers that was on my team that year. And she sent me a text message and she said, did you hear about Mason? Anytime you get those types of messages, what comes next is never good. She's like, did you hear about Mason? I was like, no, what's going on? The next text that she sent me was of the obituary. He passed away 4 years after I was teaching him. He was shot uptown Charlotte outside of an arcade. He was 14 years old. And while I was sitting there looking at it, looking at the obituary, sitting there looking at it, the thought that came to my mind, watch this, y'all. The thought that came to my mind was, at least I know what his handwriting looks like. At least I know what his handwriting looks like. And I thought about all the times that I had him in my class and how much I struggled with him, right? And then I was just thinking, like, I did the best that I could. I did the best that I could. I didn't prevent him from ending up in that situation. You know, a lot of times we watch movies like Freedom Riders, we watch movies like The Ron Clock Story, and we watch movies like this person came in and they completely turned their classroom around. Like they picked that class up and they completely, put them on a different trajectory. They changed those students' lives. I can't say that this was my success story. When he left my care, I can't say that I had completely changed his life so that he, a lot of teachers say, I taught this one student, he was rough. He came back to me 12 years later. He's a doctor now. Like, I can't say that I had that impact, but I can say that I tried the very best that I could. I want you to think about this. What do you think the reaction I would have had? What do you think it would have been like if I'd have gotten that obituary, knowing that at some point I gave up on him, knowing that at some point I said, he's never going to get this. I'm going to stop trying. Knowing that when he stepped out of line, I stopped trying to correct him. Knowing that we stopped having our talks, I would have felt guilty. I would have felt like, man, like I could have done more to save him. Man, if I would have just had one of those talks with him, one of those good old Mr. Williams talks, if I'd had a conversation with him, if I'd have brought him into the mentor group, if I'd have been able to talk to him a little bit more, then he wouldn't have been there. I would have started having I would have had those thoughts. But the reality is I did the best that I could. I invited him to our mentor group that met after school. He came when he wanted to. Right? I had my talks with him. We treated every day like a new day. I welcomed him into the classroom. I corrected him. I always tried to get him to do his work. I did the best that I could. The reason why I'm bringing this up is because I want you to be able to have the feeling where you can say, I did the best that I could. You can't have that feeling if you start giving up on students. And I know that we're 19 days out, 18, 17, 14 days from the end of the school year. Somebody needs your impact for the complete 180. We talked about that last week. And I know that there's some students, you've been imagining you're a student the whole time. I know there are some students that have been getting on your nerves from the beginning of the year. They've been ruffling your feathers from the beginning of the year. They've been not following directions from the beginning, but you cannot give up on them. If you're saying that you are doing the best that you can, there's a difference between doing the best that you can and the best that you are comfortable with. The best that you can means that you are giving the best that you can for all the students that you teach. Do you really believe that 100% of students can learn? Do you really believe that you can make an impact on these students? You have to do the absolute best that you possibly can, not that you're comfortable with. I always say that success is not measured on what you do compared to anybody else. Success is what you do compared to what you are capable of doing. What is it that you are capable of doing? You reached your being teacher of the year does not mean that you reached your potential. Being teacher of the year means that your peers voted you as the best teacher in the building. But I'm not worried about what your peers have voted you. Like, does God say that you are reaching your full potential? When he looks at your work, is he saying you are giving your full potential? You are doing the absolute best that you can. You're making the impact that only you can. Or is he saying that you're just giving what you feel like? And I want you to be able to say that you are giving the best that you possibly can and making the impact on students that only you can make. I think there are three types of teachers on the call right now. There are those who are struggling, but they're saying, like, I want to get better. There are those that are doing well, but they know that there's more that they can learn, right? There's more that they can learn to have a greater impact. And then there are those that are teaching and they're saying that there's nothing more I can learn. I got this. I've tapped out. Like, there's nothing more. I've done all that I can do. And I've learned all I can learn. That's all I've got. So I'm gonna let you know right now, if you're in group 3, you can go ahead and exit the call. That's fine. Because what I'm about to say is only relevant to those who are in group 1 or group 2, those who acknowledge that there's something more that they need in order to have an immense impact on their students. For those that are saying that, I have a solution for you. Would you like to know how you can master proven principles so that you can make the impact that only you can? I'm talking about relevant professional development, right? Well, the biggest complaint with professional development is that it's not relevant. That's why a lot of people get frustrated with professional development, because they say, like, man, maybe there's a professional development over different small groups, right? Here's how we're gonna do small group instruction. And you're sitting there like, small group? Like, I wish I could just get my students to sit down. Right? Like, you try to help me put students in small. If that's you, let me know in the comment section. You want me to put students in small groups? I can't even get them to sit and listen. How about we start there? But then on the flip side, teachers in phase 2, maybe you're thinking, man, like, we keep having these trainings on classroom management but I can manage the classroom. That's not my issue. I'm trying to figure out how to accelerate the highs and support the lows at the same time. I need differentiation support. So a lot of the issues with professional development is that we feel like it's not relevant, it's boring, it's disengaging, it doesn't apply to my needs, and it's a waste of our time. Wouldn't it be great if there was a PD that was relevant to your needs and catered to your learning style? There is, and it's called Impact. Impact is a brand new solution for your PD needs, right? It's with online courses that you get to select based off of the needs that you have and fits a learning style that matches you, and an interactive community that'll be able to support you, as well as being able to learn from experienced coaches and educators, right? Impact is the way that you can make a difference. And the beautiful thing about impact is it's a subscription model similar to Netflix, meaning like we didn't want you to have to look at the PDs. You know, sometimes you see an online course and you're like, man, I like that. It's $47. Like that. It's $57. And you have to go ahead and get each course individually. But similar to Netflix, we wanted you to have access to the full library so that you can master all the proven principles, right? So that you can have access to everything that you want. And the beautiful thing is that it actually comes in lower than Netflix at just $13 a month. So at just $13 a month, you'll be able to access the full library of courses that'll help you master proven principles, match them with your special skills so that you can make the immense impact that only you can make. I'm super excited to announce it. It's completely brand new. And because it's brand new, there are two bonuses. So it launches July 1st. So you guys are among the first people to hear about it. It launches July 1st. And since it launches July 1st, those who sign up now in the waiting phase, or the waitlist phase, we call it, you are able to get access to the course 99% of human, 1% amazing as you wait, because we know July 1st is a long time to wait for impact, right? So you get access to the currently available course, which is 99% of human, 1% amazing, which is typically $297, but you get access just for becoming a member. And you get legacy. Legacy is a new term that I learned. Legacy means that you get locked in at that $13 a month rate. So we're thinking about the other subscription models, like even Netflix. Netflix started at like $7 and it eventually kept climbing. I don't know what the future holds, but I do know that for the first 100 people that sign up, you'll be legacied and locked into that $13 a month for as long as you keep the subscription. So I wanted to introduce that to you all because I know that you want to be able to master these proven principles so you can actually say you're doing the best you can. You can't say that you're doing the best you can if you haven't tried everything. Have you tried having tailor-made PD or having relevant PD that's going to tell you exactly what it is, that's going to give you the courses that you request to help improve your practice? By doing so, then you can say, I'm doing the best that I can. The link is in the description below for those that are interested in joining the wait list. Again, at just $13 a month, or you can prepay for a year and become a founding member. Either way, click the link in the description below to find out more information. I'm super excited that you're interested and stuck with me this long. And as we end out this year, I need you to remember that you can make a massive, immense impact. You absolutely can. You master these proven principles. You match them with your special skills so that you can create specific strategies and you can make the immense impact that only you can. Don't just do the best that you are comfortable with. Do the best that you are capable of. Students will be super appreciative of it. I know I am. I'll see you in the next one.